time is it? It's Tewatiya o'clock. It's that time of the year again against Punjab Kings. You need 12 runs off the last two balls. Usually you're nervy. The batter is nervy. But if the batter is Rahul Tewatiya, he's saying, okay, go ahead. It's business as usual. So there you are. Gujarat Titans remain the only unbeaten team in this season so far. They've beaten the Punjab Kings by 6 wickets. Were set 190 runs to chase. Liam Livingston played a fine knock. Then Gujarat come out. Shubman Gill played an absolute cream of a knock, 96 runs, missed out on a century. Then there was turbulence there from Gujarat, then from Punjab as well. It seemed like both teams wanted the opposition to win. Oh my God. Oh, there was a lot of action. We've got Joy Bhattacharjya, Lisa Sthalekar joining us. Wow, Rahul Tewatiya, Lisa. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still trying to get over the tactics of some senior players within both sides that made, I thought, some really silly decisions. Okay. But in the end, for Gujarat, they were able to come away with it. But Tewatiya, he does it. He does it ever since that Sharjah game a couple of years ago. It wouldn't be an IPL without him.
Yeah. Correct. And he did that in the first game as well against Lucknow Super Giants. There too, he was just, there's something about Tewatiya, right, Joy? I mean, he comes out there and against the odds, you've got 2 sixes to win and he hits them with ease, like business as usual.
2 sixes to go, 12 runs to get. Of course, Odean Smith delivered the ball at the right places to hit.
Correct.
Yeah. But they needed to be hit. And that's what he did very well. I think it's great. He's very still at the end. He holds his nerve and he waits for the ball to come to him rather than reach out for it. And if he gets it in his slot, as he did twice in a row, he just delivers. So all kudos to him because he's the only one who was trying to win a match. Yeah. I mean, till then, both players from both sides were contriving to lose it for their teams. Yeah. And he was the only one who came in a difficult situation and actually won the match for them.
Lisa, but why is that? I mean, all fun and games aside, it did really seem like at various points in the game that both teams, as you and Joy both have mentioned, both teams seemed like wanting the other team to win. Also, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the partnership with Shubman Gill and Sai Sudarshan was, the 100-run partnership was excellent. Then the partnership was broken. And then you had Hardik Pandya coming in and he did exactly what he needed to do as well. There was a great partnership. Then Shubman Gill gets out, doesn't get his maiden 100, 96. And then David Miller comes in and takes a single off the last ball. And then, the next delivery plays and misses and runs out Hardik Pandya. So it was just like, what is happening? These are senior, like David Miller is a senior player. He should know this stuff. So from there, I thought, right, Gujarat have lost this game simply because of some silly mistakes. And it's literally one ball that can cost you a game, especially at the back end like that. Not having the striker, as in Hardik Pandya, who's already been out there and firing nicely, not facing that final over. But then, as Joy was saying as we were watching, wait for Odean Smith. He's going to play his role nicely here, and he did exactly that. He just put the balls in the slot, and they sailed away.
Correct. Joy, I mean, Odean Smith, we've been speaking about that fifth bowler for Punjab, and that's going to be a trouble for them, and it eventually turned out just like that. But tactically, do you agree with Lisa that tactically both teams kind of just missed many tricks throughout the game?
Absolutely. I mean, two things. I mean, while forget Hardik Pandya, Shubman Gill batted beautifully at the start. Right at the end, okay, he reaches 82 pretty fast, and then he took a long time for his remaining 14, 15 runs. That period, he was scoring at only about 7, and he was not keeping strike. I mean, when you're the senior guy at this point in time and the run rate is climbing, it's 11 and a half, 12. It's your job to bring it down. It's your job to take those calculated shots. And somewhere at that point in time, Gujarat let the game get away from them. 18th over, Arshdeep comes and bowls a 5-run over. And that really makes it 32-2. 32-2 is difficult. Rabada comes in, bowls an over for 13. It's 19 now in the last over. And then they lose it. Now, the point of it is, if you have that few wickets down, 2 wickets and 3 wickets down, you've really done badly to get yourself into the kind of soup that Gujarat got themselves in. That was thoughtless batting. I feel even Shubman Gill allowed the game to drift at a particular stage, and that could have cost his team very badly. So lots of, I mean, at that point, Love should have come out from the dressing room saying, you know what, you need to step on it now. Nothing happened. Nobody moved. They allowed it to go to 19. Yes, Tewatia rescued them. But this could so easily have gone the other way. But thanks to the generosity of a West Indian, they won again.
Yeah, just a tip to Rahul Tewatia. Bombay is open till late now. Please take Odin Smith out for a nice dinner, snack, whatever you want to. Just go take him out, treat him. I mean, he's just gifted those 2 balls there in that slot. But Lisa, how good was Shubman Gill? I mean, of course, towards the latter half of his innings, he did slow down, as Joy mentioned. But throughout, the way he set it up, the way he set the platform for the chase to actually explode and go on towards the end, how good was he?
Yeah, he was really good. And they had a graphic there where they kind of did how many balls was he in the 10 run mark, so from 10 to 23rd. And it was really quick. There was a couple of times where he slowed down. But what I liked about him the most, and I said this in the com box as well, was that he was picking up the pace really quickly and hitting it in front of point or in front of square by a long distance. There wasn't a huge lot of weight transfer, but he was just in a very strong, powerful position, very stable, and he was able to execute his shot. So he's in a bit of a purple patch at the moment. But what he will need to, true, good point. But what he needs to do is listen to Joy and just focus on that last bit, because he may have been getting nervous. He's never scored an IPL 100. A chance, a new franchise. Here's my chance to really lay, a stake in the ground and go, I'm here and I've been working on my strike rate, all of the right things. But so it just got to him, or he was a bit tired. One of the two.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, because that slowdown Joy was very apparent, and we saw that in that Joss Butler innings as well against the Mumbai Indians. But here with Shubman Gill, I mean, he was doing all things correctly. And as Lisa said, it may perhaps be tiredness, or it may be fatigue. It may be the fact that he was approaching a milestone, because he got to that 82, 83 run mark relatively quickly, or 46, 47 balls, and then didn't hit a boundary for very long. If this result went the other way, that knock would be talked about a lot more.
Absolutely. I mean, you ended up with just 4 wickets down. And that would have cost him. The other thing, just go back and now look at the Punjab innings. The Punjab innings were 161 for 9. They reached 189 from there. And they allowed them 27, 28 runs. Had they lost the game today, they would have turned around and said, what were we doing in the final overs? That Arshdeep Singh could come and take runs against us. So there's a lot out there that, went wrong from both sides. And I think that's what they got to look at and say, Gujarat has done well. Tewatia has done really well for himself. It's not that Shubman Gill has done badly. He's done well for himself. I think Sai Sudarshan is also looking the part. He's looking ready for the IPL, and that's great news for him. He's definitely looking far more settled than Vijay Shankar did at any point in time. So I think these are great discoveries from them. But they need to look at the other side and wonder what they're going to do. They need to finish games earlier. See, what I'm saying? These new teams, they're good teams. What I don't see is what I call ruthless efficiency. At the top of their game, a Mumbai or a Chennai would be ruthlessly efficient in a game like this. They would finish you off. Then finish it. If they were going on a roll, they'll finish it in the 15th, 16th over. If they got you 160 for 9, they'll finish you off at 165. They will not allow you to linger. And I think that's the difference. We're still Mumbai and Chennai are not having a great season. We are seeing some teams doing very well out here, but we are not seeing that clinical, finishing that champion sides have yet. And which is why I think this is a really open IPL, because lots of teams look good, but nobody looks the finished article as yet.
Lisa, you've been a part of a champion team. Is that a mentality thing as well, that once you're in an advantageous position, you just grab it? You don't let an inch slip.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the teams that Joy mentioned, Mumbai Indians and Chennai Super Kings, and when you see how well or when they were so successful, it's because they had a core group of players that knew their role really well, and it didn't matter. There's always egos in the team, but everyone had each other's back. That everyone was keeping each other in line. Whereas these new sides, and even Mumbai, maybe not so much Chennai, it's very similar, but it's a different group of squad members. It's a different group of field. People are jostling for positions. They don't quite know, where do I actually fit? Management aren't quite sure. Have they got the right order? So it will take a bit of time, I think, for all of the franchises just to get that stability of, okay, I know my role. I know my place in this side. Now we can be ruthless, because I'm not looking over my back at my teammates and so conscious that the selectors are going to drop me.
Yeah, correct. And also, of course, remember that these are all new teams. They were only allowed a maximum of 4 retentions. And the teams that joined, Lisa both mentioned, Mumbai and Chennai, won those championships on the back of some very strong core members, which meant that the core values were also instilled in that team. And that, of course, helped them win championships. Now, Joy, the two of you have mentioned how the teams have to go back to the drawing board and really assess where they went wrong. But there were positives galore. And one of those positives, a big one for Gujarat Titans, was Sai Sudarshan. You mentioned how he looked the part in place of Vijay Shankar, and just the fact that there were no nerves. He came out almost like Tewatia was, business as usual. Same was for Sai Sudarshan. He just came out in just another game of cricket.
Yeah, he played some brilliant shots. Again, one of the things that you see is that, at some place, even with him, the run rate got to him. I think the run rate was a bit closer than he would have liked, because when you come out there, you hit that one shot and then you allow 2-3 dot balls to go without quite realizing it. That is only going to get better. But in terms of the kind of stroke play he had, his position, his head, he looked the finished article. I think he definitely is a prospect. And, being a left-hander in that top order is also giving them something now, because Wade was the only other left-hander in the top order. Now they've got 3 left-handers if you include Tewatia, the late middle order. So they've got something there. They've got a mix. They've got a balance. And I think all that sounds and presages very well for the Gujarat team.
Yeah, correct.
I was just going to say, I do want to highlight the fact that he comes, and I read an article whilst the game was going on about his background, and his father was involved in the South Asian Games, but more importantly, his mother played for Tamil Nadu in volleyball. So, being around parents that are very sporty, he's got probably the best support network that understand what he needed to do as a young boy to get the best out of him, his body, and then also be willing to give up lots of time to your sport. So I think he's got a big future.
Correct. It's very interesting how he goes from here, because he's in his own franchise also. He's got someone in the form of Ashish Nehra there as the head coach, who will also give him backing, give him a lot of trust there. So it'll be interesting what chart his journey takes from here. But there was one more man, Joy. Another positive for Gujarat Titans from this game was Rashid Khan. In the previous games, we've seen Lockie Ferguson doing well, Mohammad Shami doing well. He was that one name who they would have really wanted to come amongst wickets. And here he did, and how. Absolutely.
You see, the reason why Rashid Khan is not more successful than he already is the fact that people tend to play him out. And what happened in this match, he got those 3 wickets because finally they decided to go after him. First, Liam Livingston tried to hit him out of the ground, and Rashid Khan is just too good a bowler to be consistently hit out of the ground. And then, completely again, perplexingly, 2-3 balls later, the same Shah Rukh Khan tries the same trick. And as Shah Rukh Khan, any Shah Rukh Khan should know that you don't get a hit every time.
Yeah, correct.
Shah Rukh Khan should know. So, well, he didn't get a hit, but that's what happened out there. But yeah, I think Rashid Khan getting wickets is just, he's a confidence bowler. He just likes wickets. And, when he's there and his body language changes a little bit, that's terrific for the team, because then he's the kind of guy who literally almost grabs the ball from his captain and said, give me the ball. I'm going to go after these guys. And he's looking the part more and more.
Yeah, given how close this game was, Lisa, his spell really proved to be the difference. I mean, this score could have been 210, 220 with Punjab. Of course, you never know. But that spell really pulled them back.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what they do for player of the match. Yeah. In my opinion, I think he was the one that stopped them scoring a ridiculous amount of runs. So going to be really important, that and like Joy was saying, people normally sit on him. And there's been times that I've actually wondered, especially in Hyderabad, whether they should actually keep him in the side because he wasn't having the impact that he normally would. But he did. Punjab wanted to play an aggressive brand of cricket. It didn't pay off against Rashid Khan.
Yeah, correct. Let's look at the positives for Punjab Kings then. One big positive, now 2 games running, Joy, is Liam Livingston. Again, he comes in here, scores those important runs, ups the ante, did everything correct with the bat.
He did everything correct with the bat except try and take on Rashid Khan. Until then, it was a great story. But yeah, I think with the way he was playing, he wanted to take on the top bowler of the opposition and try to send a message out there. It didn't work. But yeah, he could have waited and perhaps they would have been 20, 30 runs up. But Livingston definitely for me was a plus. For me, the biggest plus in Punjab so far has been the continual development of Rahul Chahar. If you look at that over, even in the first ball, that previous over that Rahul Chahar had bowled, the 17th over, he had Shubman Gill stumped. Shubman Gill was way outside, had Bairstow collected.
Hardik. He got, yeah.
Sorry, Hardik.
Hardik. Yeah.
Had Bairstow collected cleanly, that would have been a dismissal out there. He bowled beautifully as far as I'm concerned. He also got them those 25, 30 extra runs. Rahul Chahar is a star. Take my word for it. And, Yajuvendra Chahar is bowling well. He's doing well. But Chahar is a definite candidate for the World Cup, in my opinion, at this point.
Yeah. Increasingly, the way he's batting, bowling, of course, but also his fielding, Lisa.
Yeah, he's the complete package, isn't he? He's a real athlete. He's a real asset to any side. If you ideally, in T20 cricket, if you can contribute in all 3 facets, you're a tick and you're one of the first selected, really, sometimes.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, he's been there. He's been right on the money for Punjab with the ball, with the bat increasingly, and in the field, he's a superstar. Joy has already said, mark his words, he is going to be a star. Right now, though, there's a star shining on that points table, and that is the Gujarat Titans, who still remain unbeaten in this tournament. The only team who are unbeaten yet to drop a game. 3 games, 3 wins, 6 points for them. That net run rate, of course, still remains positive. Punjab right now are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the bottom. 2 wins, 2 losses. That net run rate is positive for them, of course. But that wraps up the business for this game. Then Gujarat Titans winning against Punjab Kings. A very unique, it's a very peculiar game, but a very interesting one. It's Tewatia o'clock all the way towards the end. But now to the next games. It's a double-header Saturday, a very exciting one. The first game is Chennai Super Kings versus the Sunrisers Hyderabad at the D.Y. Patil Stadium. Now, this will change dynamics on that points table for sure, Joe. I mean, one of them has to win, and one of them, whoever wins, exactly. They don't have an option now.
All I'm praying for the teams, all I want to say is that I looked up the weather right now and said, let it not rain. One of these teams needs a win today. That's all. Let it not rain. Let one team at least celebrate today.
Please.
Because it is, it's been an absolute disaster. South of the Vindhyas has not been a good place to be at this point in time.
Yeah, correct, Lisa. And Chennai, the last game they played at the Brabant Stadium against the Punjab Kings, failed to chase down 180. They've got issues with their batting as well. They've been losing a lot of wickets in the power play. This was their playing 11 in the last game. Do you see any changes to this playing 11 going ahead?
Well, Chennai don't.
Yeah,
they don't really change, do they? They stick. Even Gaikwad, if you look at what he did even last year, he had a poor start. I mean, he's binary at the moment. He's only dealing in 0s and 1s. It'd be great to see him to get even into double figures. So he needs to fire for them. Moeen Ali hasn't really done anything. It's their big guns, really, from a batting point of view. Robin Uthappa has been giving them a little bit of a start, but there is so much talent there. They just need to click at the moment. But I can't see them making any changes, especially from a batting point of view.
Okay. Joy, Shivam Dube, interesting prospect brought into the team. They're looking at him as an all-rounder. There will be a lot of hopes from him as well within that dressing room.
Well, they have no option. He is a dedicated all-rounder at this point in time. There are 3 of them. They're looking at actually 4 if you look at it that way. Moeen Ali, Ravindra Jadeja, Shivam Dube. Those are the guys who are supposed to give them some stability, and of course, Bravo there. They are the guys who are supposed to give stability to the middle. The big problem is you have 2 orange cap batsmen, 2 guys who have led the IPL in scoring in particular years. And one of them, the older one of them, who's expected to be, slightly off the boil, is actually doing well. That's Robin Uthappa. So if Robin Uthappa can give them some starts, he's giving them starts. If Rituraj can come to the party, Moin, Ambati, that's a very, very strong first four out there. That's an extremely strong first four, which is not firing at this point in time. They need those guys to fire. Once those guys start firing, you see, if you see the Chennai formula, Chennai has never blown people away with their bowling. At their best, Ashwin would get a few wickets for them, but they'd always have a situation where, they'd score 180 and restrict guys to 175, or they'd chase down 180 or 170 or whatever the other team put up. Bowling was never their strength. It was always their ability to be able to finish, or their spinners got you in a web in a typical Chennai cricket. Now, that's not going to happen early in the season. People like Moeen Ali, Jadeja are just going to get better and better as the season goes on, but not at this point in time. So what they really need is to start putting up 200, 180, 200 totals, because that's the only way with this attack they're going to win games consistently.
Yeah, correct. Lisa, Joy mentioned a very important point, how Chennai's bowling was never their strength, but this time around, it seems like it's acting as their weakness. I mean, if we look at that playing 11 again, they're heavily reliant on those overseas pacers and are deeply missing Deepak Chahar.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? I mean, Jordan came in last game and he was able to contribute. Dwayne Pretorius has picked up a couple of wickets as well. But yeah, and Bravo, yes, he's going all right, but he also goes for runs because he bowls the hard overs. So they need a little bit more, don't they, from the Indian bowlers to kind of even out the amount of pressure they're putting on their international bowlers.
Yeah, let's have a look. What options do they have, Joy, in that squad? What are the options that they're looking at? Because, as we said, I mean, Deepak Chahar was a huge cog. But there in the bowlers, they, of course, have KM Asif. They've tried Tushar Deshpande as well. How do you look at it?
No, the only bowler out there, see, they need a wicket-taking bowler up front. When they do well, Deepak Chahar used to get wickets up front. Josh Hazelwood used to get wickets up front. The only guy out there I see coming into this immediately is Adam Mill, because he might give them wickets up front. You see, Dwayne Pretorius is a restrictive bowler. He's not a wicket-taking bowler. You will have to give away your wicket trying to hit him, but he's not going to come in the first few overs and scare you. That they're missing. Deepak Chahar had that outswing up early, which would get wickets for them. Hazelwood was so accurate that he sort of prized out batsmen early. They're missing that. Adam Milne, they'll want to have one gun bowler up front if they can. If Adam Milne is fit, he will make it back. But there's nobody else there who I see, they can try another bowler instead of Mukesh. They can try KM Asif, who they've had around for a very long time. He's been in the Chennai camp for a couple of years, but he's never really got a run. But there's nobody else there. And the interesting thing is they don't really have, and Chennai always had quality spinners other than Jadeja. They don't have a leggy right now. Their only leggy is Prashant.
Neither squads have it, actually.
Huh?
Yeah.
They just have Solanki, and Solanki is not somebody who they really, at this point in time, looks like he's going to take on the likes of Chahar and Chahar.
Yeah, correct. They also have an overseas spin option in Mahesh Tikshana, but the similar problems plague Sunrisers Hyderabad as well, Lisa. We saw them in the last game as well, Lucknow Super Giants. They did seem to have a foot inside the door and then just let the team go ahead and, release that pressure. There in that playing 11, do you see a change happening?
They could make a few changes, couldn't they? Rahul Tripathi could come up the top. Abhishek Sharma and Kane Williamson just haven't fired. And this is unlike a Hyderabad side that has always had your bankers at the top. That's not been the case. Also, Umran Malik, whilst he's quick, he's going for a lot of runs. So, you've got Kartik Tyagi as well sitting in the wings. When do you give him an opportunity? So is it panic stations yet for Hyderabad? Not yet. They've got senior coaching staff there, Tom Moody at the helm. Do they push the button? Do they give these guys another go? I think they may make one or two changes. Okay. But after this game, if they lose, you watch it change completely. I reckon there'll be a bit of a rotation.
That's right, Joy, because also the kind of investment they've made in the likes of Abhishek Sharma, in the likes of Umran Malik. The tournament is already well up and running. You really want returns from these youngsters now.
You do want returns from the youngsters, but more than that, you also need returns from people like Kane Williamson. These are also senior international pro. He needs to give you runs at some point in time. And I was just thinking about Lisa's point. Absolutely. This is a team that used to start with Warner, Bairstow, and Williamson as their top three. They used to give you terrific starts, and then after that, it fell off a bit. So, Of course, I think that Abdul Samad needs to come to the party. Abhishek Sharma needs to come to the party. But first and foremost, Kane Williamson needs to come to the party.
Yeah.
That's what's going to make a serious difference. At this point in time, the only guy who seems to be getting things done is Rahul Tripathi in that top order.
Yeah.
Nicholas Pooran is also still not, Pooran, it's P for Pooran and P for potential. He still delivers internationally. And Pooran is the kind of guy who will have a terrible IPL season that he had last time, an average of about 7. Has had an outstanding international career since then, and then comes back to the IPL and forgets how to score runs again. So franchises will be wondering what is happening out here. He was just in fantastic form a few weeks back.
There's some P for problem with the Pooran there. Yeah. I think, yeah. But Lisa, Joy mentioned a very good point. He said they were habitual of having Johnny Bairstow, David Warner, Kane Williamson. They were also habitual of having Rashid Khan. Now, if you look at that lineup, Washington Sundar has been doing his job, but they're really lacking that one spinner who can be the enforcer in those middle overs.
Yeah, and maybe Shreyas Gopal comes in to provide that option for them. So, like I said, they've got a few options that they can play and figure out, and I guess, based on Chennai and the ground and what works well, pace and spin, what are the numbers? This is where your analyst gets paid the good money to come up with all of these numbers. Then you need to pick your side. So, they've got a few options. The other one is Marco Johnson as well. Yeah. Left arm, quick, tall. Something a little bit different. I'll be interested to see what they do, because I think they can make a few changes.
Yeah, this one's going to be an interesting game. Before we go, one player to watch out for both of you. Joy?
Look, I just happen to think that this is the year that Bhuvaneshwar has finally rediscovered his bowling form. In a year with very little good news for Sunrisers, he's looking the part up front. And he's bowling those immaculate lengths up front, and he's also coming back at the death and bowling decently. He's doing well for them. Natarajan is doing well for them, but Bhuvi is the man to watch as far as I'm concerned.
For you, Lisa?
Well, then I'm going to go right at the opposition, opening bat, Gaikwad.
Yeah, correct. And he's also due.
He's due. Duck 1-1. Surely he's due. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, correct. And since 2020, he's always had those 3 bad games right at the start, and then he goes. So he's of course due. Chennai fans would be hoping that he's due one big knock as well. Now to the second game of the day. Bangalore take on Mumbai at Pune. Now, Joy, Mumbai Indians, we've seen seasons where they've started slow, but this season it seems different. And we saw one social media clip that the team put out where Rohit Sharma is talking to the entire team and he's saying we aren't showing enough desperation. They really need more than that.
Look, this is a team that is qualified after being 0-5 in 2014. Yeah. So I don't put anything past them. But you're right. They seem to be a bit more panicking, a bit more. And there's a reason for it. You see, again, and I'm going to use a word that I hope to ban from this program for a long, long time. Okay. Normally, they're happy as long as they do the process right. And, and they
P for process.
Yeah, P for process now. But I think what they know now is that they have some genuine weaknesses which they're trying to paper over. And you see, till last year, they said, okay, we're fine. We haven't won a couple of matches. These guys will get going. But they have a genuine problem with their bowling. Okay, Tim Davids is now out of it. That means they're that all-rounder shot because they're preferring Brevis to bat. And I think given how he played last time, he's going to retain his place. The problem basically is the bowling is not scaring anyone. And Jasprit Bumrah is the only genuine person in that top order who's scaring people. Now, what used to happen is Mumbai would always have 3 gun bowlers, Rahul Chahar, Bumrah, somebody else bowling with him. And then they'd have the Kunal Pandyas, Hardik Pandyas, the rest of them to fill it in. Right now, they have 1 gun bowler, and that's Bumrah. And that means all the other 4 bowlers or all the guys, other 16 overs are fair game for people. And that's going to be their primary problem. I don't think they're worried about the fact that Ishan is not getting run or Rohit is not getting run. They're going to get run sometime or the other. They're going to come good. They're 2 good batsmen, excellent batsmen, people like Surya after that. So they'll get their 180s, 200. Their problem is that right now they're looking at their own bowling and thinking, are these guys capable of defending 180, 200 totals? And that's the big problem there.
Yeah, Lisa, but are there replacements in that squad? If we look at that squad for the Mumbai Indians, who comes in? Joy is absolutely in that last game against KKR as well, but do they really have options there?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at the players that are leaking the most runs, Tymon Mills, Daniel Sams. I mean, they've kind of got him as your late hitter, but there's a Riley Meredith who bowls absolute thunderbolts. So, he might be able to come in for a Tymon Mills and have a different thing. And you've still got Daniel Sams as your left-hander, so you don't have two of them. So that's been their issue. God, it'd be great if Archer was fit and available, wouldn't it?
Correct.
That's what they're missing. They're missing, someone of his class and ability to go with Jasprit Bumrah.
Yeah. Can they bring in an extra spin option, Joy? Fabian Allen in place of Daniel Sams, maybe?
Yeah, the problem is that, they can definitely bring Fabian Allen instead of Daniel Sams. I think they're waiting for pitches to wear a bit more to bring in their spin options. Unfortunately, their Indian spin options are not great. But if you are playing in Pune, even though it's slightly early in the season, the one person I would pick is I would do a straight swap of Jaydev Unadkat for Basil Thampi, because Thampi is the guy who tries and puts it in fast. Jaydev Unadkat knows that Pune pitch like the back of his hand. He played here for the Super Giants Pune, had very productive seasons. I think he was a top wicket taker, among the top wicket takers out there in that season. He knows these pitches. He's going to get better as it's slower and slower. So Jaydev Unadkat for Thampi, perhaps for me. And definitely Riley Meredith for Tymon Mills. They need one out-and-out bowler. Even if that guy gets whacked, if he just knocks over a few early, he just looks the part of a threatening bowler. Bumrah streaming in from one end, Meredith streaming in from the other. Like Mitchell Johnson used to at one time. Yeah. Malinga and Mitchell Johnson, that gives you a little bit more of a shape. That makes you look like the Mumbai of old. Right now, they're just not looking the part.
Riley Meredith actually bowls some great Yorkers. Like he has got that ability to absolutely take batters' toes out. So, if he can get it right. It's funny because I had a chance to speak to him after the first leg of IPL because all of us went to the Maldives, and I asked him how he found the experience. He said it was just so overwhelming. It was a bit of a roller coaster ride with one game you win, everyone loves you. The next game you lose, everyone hates you. So he's I reckon he's learned a lot from that little stint. And he's a little bit more match hardened to potentially have a bigger impact this year.
That's the base that the IPL is, isn't it? But Mumbai Indians struggling to put together a solid bowling lineup. You really thought you'd ever hear that? Let's have a look at the other team, Royal Challengers Bangalore then. Now, they also pulled off a heist in that last game, courtesy our man from CB to RCB, Dinesh Karthik. Joy, do you see any changes being made to this playing 11?
Of course, Glenn Maxwell is back.
Of course, I mean, that is a straight, that is an obvious one. I walked straight into it. Yeah.
You did.
Glenn Maxwell.
It's all right.
I'm not sure if Josh Hazelwood is fit. If that's the case, then he walks in for David Willey as well.
He's not fit.
So that's one change I definitely do. I think, look, they've also discovered it. Shahbaz Ahmed gave them something with the bat out there. Harshal Patel started bowling well. Akashdeep has been excellent as the 11th bowler. Anuj Rawat has shown a little bit with the bat. Now what they need is the performances from their two biggest guns. That's Faf du Plessis. Faf du Plessis, of course, got runs in the first match. Virat Kohli. Virat needs to give them something. But, they just must be saying that, Virat is just too good a player not to give them runs at some point in time. So they're just waiting.
These are the return of Glenn Maxwell. Now, Virat Kohli's form is, of course, a bit of a concern. Faf du Plessis has been scoring runs. But with Dinesh Karthik scoring that kind of runs towards the end, and now Glenn Maxwell coming in, this does look like a very potent batting attack.
Yeah, it does. And one thing RCB were able to do last year was they were able to get the best out of Glenn Maxwell. So many other teams had tried. I think you had to rewind back to 2014 when it was played in the UAE, where he really fired for Punjab back then. But they slotted him higher than AB de Villiers. It caused a lot of discussions with pundits about that. But I hope for Glenn Maxwell, who recently got married, that he comes in nice and fresh. And that he's excited to get back amongst it. It looked like that from the clips that we kind of saw on social media. The only concern I have is when Aaron Finch got married and came to the IPL late, he had a terrible run, didn't he, Joy? So I hope for Glenn Maxwell that isn't the same outcome for him.
Well, I'll have to tell you something. The funniest part of it was, who was Aaron Finch's best man, who also came late to the IPL that year?
Correct. Yes, Glenn Maxwell.
And they had a terrible, both of them had an atrocious IPL. So marriage for coming late to the IPL has never been a good reason. Unfortunately, we really hope Glenn Maxwell reverses that. The other is that every time we've had a tournament which has been partially played in the UAE, Glenn Maxwell has looked the part. 2014, 4 man of the matches in the first 5 matches, looked absolutely spectacular. And the next time he really performed well was 21, when, of course, part of it was held in the UAE. So this just may be an issue, because this time, unless something happens later, all the matches are being held in India. So, well, good luck, Glenn Maxwell. Look, I'd love to see him perform. See him get 500 runs like he did last year, at the strike rate he did, get his 3 wickets in. I think he gives them a little bit with the ball, not too much with the ball, but you can always get a couple of overs, sneak out a couple of overs with him. He's fantastic with the bat. He's a great fielder. He's a good team man. And hopefully he's recovered from his marriage. What more can you ask for?
All that I'm saying to RCB fans is, I have no role in this. For the past 50 odd seconds, I've not spoken a word. So if God forbid, Glenn Maxwell goes down that drain, you know who to take your wrath out on. I've not said a word. Those comment sections are all yours.
The program is already over and you're already selling us out.
Yeah. It's very quick. The second show he sold us out.
I'm very scared of RCB fans. They're very passionate fans, and I'm very scared of their wrath. So RCB fans, you know who to contact. Not me. But RCB have a great record in recent times. They did a double on MI in the last season as well, Lisa. And when your team is down like the Mumbai is this season, can that also play on their minds?
Look, the players, if you were to ask them, it's a new tournament, it's a new season, it's a new. They roll out those same old lines. I don't think it will play a role. So many things have happened in between that, so many changes within both of the squads. So I think for them, it's just focus on the P word.
Yeah, correct. Joy, also, if you have a look at that RCB playing 11 once again, there's a proposition there. Now, if Faf du Plessis and Virat Kohli can open the batting, number 3 is Glenn Maxwell. Number 4 is Dinesh Karthik. Of course, then Shahbaz Ahmed comes in at number 5. In place of Anuj Rawat, you can play perhaps another Indian bowler. How does that sound? Can that get Virat Kohli in the group? That's the old RCB formula. Get that top very heavy.
Look, I think, as I said, Anuj Rawat right now is doing the role for them. I don't mind Virat coming in at 3. He's getting enough opportunities at 3. And Virat has scored his maximum runs batting at 3. That 2016 season, he's just scored his runs batting at 3. So I don't think it's a question of position, because he is getting enough balls to face. It's just that it's not happening for him. He's not even not looking the part. He's not looking out of sorts. He's just somehow not scoring. And he's just too good a batsman for that not to happen at some point in time.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the points table then. Where are these teams placed? They, of course, play on this Super Saturday. Bangalore there, right in contention. They are placed number 5th. Mumbai, of course, are right there at the bottom. Chennai, too, haven't opened their account, as have Hyderabad. So this becomes a very important Saturday indeed. A double-header Saturday, for which we'll be here because it's Saturday anyway, and I sleep here anyway. So I don't have a problem. I think Joy and Lisa will have to figure their own thing. I can sleep here.
You can just use the books to keep you warm. You'll be fine.
Yeah, correct. Actually, no, I can use them. I don't read them anyway, so I might as well use them for that. But there's one piece of business remaining: the joy factor. Joy, there's a tricky question. Take it away.
Okay, 3 players sharing the same surname have played Tests for Australia, and not one with that surname has ever played a second Test. Identify the surname. Well, it's from my part of the world. It's Banerjee. Okay. So there are 3 players. There's Montu Banerjee, there's Shute Banerjee, who are both, Montu and Shute both played in the 40s. The third is an interesting one, Subroto Banerjee, who came to Australia, played 1 Test, took 3 wickets early and then got injured, never played for India again. In fact, he settled down in Australia and runs a coaching establishment somewhere there. So Subroto Banerjee is the third out there, very close friend of Sachin Tendulkar. I think they were close in that series in 91-92. So, yeah, if there are any more Banerjees lining up to play for India, I just need to warn them that somebody needs to play a second Test.
I just hope the winner is not a Banerjee. Then there's a conflict of interest. Who's the winner?
Yeah.
No, it's Vishant Goyal. Oh, thank God. Thank God. We'd have had to serve a conflict of interest notice then. Vishant Goyal, many, many congratulations. I would have never guessed it, man. Never guessed it. It's so cool. Right, Lisa?
Yeah.
It's so cool.
So, like I said, I constantly learn every time I'm with Joy.
Yeah. TIL.
Encyclopedia.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just those books there. I have to see some of them at some point. Yeah, he's getting all the predictions right as well. So I don't know what he's doing.
He is.
We must get him to pick our lottery numbers now. But that is for Saturday, of course. We'll meet you again for the double header. It's been a very long day. It's past midnight here in India. We'll say goodbye. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you so much, Joy, for joining us. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on Cricbuzz Live. We'll see you on Saturday super soon.